What's up, everybody? Trad West Podcast back at you with another long form podcast episode. I know it's been a little bit with election season. I was making videos on election stuff, mostly on YouTube and Rumble, and it's been a little bit since I made a long form video, but I'm gonna do this one here. I thought it perfect timing due to RFK Jr. and the MAHA movement, Make America Healthy Again, joining the MAGA movement and, Trump winning and giving RFK a position where he can do good in the food industry and health, hopefully. And I'm going to start this out by this shouldn't be a partisan issue. Both parties, this should be bipartisan, all the parties. But the main are Democrat and Republicans, and this shouldn't be an issue that we don't get along on. Everyone they should hear, make America healthy again. And they should think, yeah, that sounds pretty good. But inevitably, because politics is so crazy and people are just dug into their side good, other side bad. And, Trump definitely drives people crazy and there's a lot of hate toward him. So the fact that it's, his side that has embraced the MAHA movement just increases the amount of people that push back against it. Like, they're already coming out, oh, that's seed oils are good. RFK Jr.'s just a anti-vax loon. They're gonna ban all vaccines. Hurry up and get your vaccines in. Get your 20th booster before they ban the COVID vax. And you're crazy. They're crazy. Okay? They're crazy. RFK Jr. is not anti-vax, much like other people that just might not agree with all vaccinations. That doesn't mean they don't agree with vaccinations across the board. But if you're so blinded by your side and you just want to believe hook, line, and sinker that all this is good. I mean, before we get into the food stuff, because that's really what I wanted to focus on with this episode. But let's just look at this alone when it comes to vaccines. They're not liable. Vaccine manufacturers cannot be held liable for anything. Like, you get fucked up by it, vaccine manufacturers not liable. Name me any other area in life where that applies. Any company. And even if the vaccines, every one of them, are good and can do no harm to anybody, even though that's not true, every drug has side effects to a certain degree. Yeah, the side effects might not be anything serious. You might get a rash. You might, get a tummy ache. I don't know. But to sit there and act like, all the vaccines come with no negative side effects. Even if you believe in all the vaccines, like, can you at least be a little skeptical or understand people's skepticism when they see, hey, vaccine manufacturers cannot be held liable? That just to me sounds sketch as hell. And before you come out and act like I'm some crazy anti-vaxxer, I was in the military. If you saw my freaking vaccine record, it's long. Military forces you to get shit you don't want, especially if you go overseas and deploy. I've had numerous vaccines that I didn't want, but I had to get. So I'm not some like anti-vax who's never gotten anything. I've gotten plenty of them. And guess what? I have had side effects from them. I'm still alive, but I've had side effects and they all weren't fun. And the scary part is, and hope maybe I'll end the vaccine part with this. The scary part is my civilian doctor that I started seeing, not my original one. My original one was terrible. So find a good doctor, people. I ask you that. If you're not pleased with your doctor, go find another one because it's corrupted and a lot of them just like to push for big pharma. I got a better doctor now, but I have to drive like an hour to go see him. So I live in a rural area. So, my first time showing up at this doctor's office, you're filling out your new patient form. It asks what vaccinations you've had, and it only gives you like a little space. And I told them, hey, I brought a copy of my vaccine record from the military just because you're asking what vaccines I've had. It'll be quicker just to hand you the sheet of paper rather than write them all out. And they looked at me kind of weird. And then both the RN who was seeing me before the doctor came in and the doctor, once they saw my vaccination list, they were startled and was like, "Oh wow, that's a lot." And then the RN was even like, "Ooh, my son's a Marine. I would hate to see his." That gave me pause. These are medical professionals that are freaked out about the amount of vaccinations that have been put in my body from the military. This isn't just average person. These are medical professionals. And they were freaked out about it. That should tell you something. So, what I mainly wanted to talk about is the MAHA movement is really pushing against, the terrible foods and the chronic disease in America. Probably all over the world, but America definitely. And it's a problem. And I knew very basics. Yeah, there's bad food. I was super in my 20s, super into fitness, super into meal prepping, working out. Um, I still am, but not to the degree I was. But it was just, oh, I know Doritos are bad. I know McDonald's is bad. Okay, you're gonna get fat if you eat this stuff. It wasn't till recently when I understood, I really started to see the problems. I didn't know this. I heard the term big food, like here, big pharma. And I was like, oh, big food. Okay. And then you do some deep diving. And it's pretty alarming because in the 1980s, cigarette company, cigarettes, not exactly healthy for you, although they paid some lobbyists and got some people inside for a while to say they weren't harmful. We all know that's, not exactly true. And what did they do? They made cigarettes addicting to get a return customer. Well, in the 1980s, a bunch of these cigarette companies turned and bought a bunch of the food companies. Crazy. I did not know that. I did not know that until probably in the last 6 months. So, the cigarette companies went from making super addictive product that wasn't exactly healthy for you, but they wanted returning customers and they could get people hooked. They go and buy food companies. Guess what? They did the same exact thing. This is where we have processed foods come into mass. They come in, buy the food companies, and they hire scientists to make food that's going to be addictive to people, returning customers. Doesn't matter if it's healthy or not. Now, one can say World War II, we needed food that would preserve, that we could get to our soldiers and that. Okay. Temporary solution, band-aid it temporarily. Shouldn't be something that's ongoing. Well, certain corrupt individuals found they saw basically a big money-making venture. That's how we got the old food pyramid, if you remember. Terrible. Terrible. The old food pyramid. And they're still teaching this shit. Or at least they were back when I was in school. It's been a little bit, so hopefully they've changed it now. But they created that food pyramid. They bought off the FDA, USDA. This is a big thing. Like, the way stuff gets approved is so corrupt in this country. And that's what I'm hoping makes a change. And that's why it shouldn't be a partisan issue. It should be bipartisan. We shouldn't want corrupt individuals, getting fed. Oh, we'll hook you up with this career, with this company, cush job, making a lot of money if you just allow this, So, Rockefeller, I'm sure you've heard that name if you're watching this channel. John D. Rockefeller, he's like one of the main ones responsible for like the seed oil epidemic. And guess what? I'm guilty of it. I still consume stuff that has seed oils. I've, over the past couple years, been trying to eliminate and eliminate and eliminate. So for the most part, I don't think I do. But at the same time, you'd be surprised what all has stuff in it. And it's not like, ooh, literally all of our problems are caused by seed oils. No, it's not that. But that's just an added layer in other things that are an issue. Fructose, like high fructose corn syrup and that. People, oh, it's in fruit. Fruit's natural. You're not getting it to nearly the dose that you're getting it in the artificial high fructose like corn syrup stuff. Your body was not meant to have that high of a hit when you're drinking like a regular freaking soda in that. But seed oils were used as an engine lubricant. Engine lubricant. Okay? Does that sound like it's something you should be consuming necessarily? I don't know. I'd be a little skeptical. I'm not even saying they're like super terrible and going to cause you to die right away or anything. It's just like, be skeptical. It was used for engine lubricant. Fun factoid, Big Pharma spends 5 times more in DC lobbying on lobbyists than the oil industry. Yeah. Seed oils also happen to be the top source of calories for people in America. Americans are fat. Americans are diabetic or pre-diabetic. 50% of Americans have prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. Cancer is up. 40% of 18-year-olds have mental health issues. Young adult cancers are up 79%. And the highest infant maternal mortality rate, even though we spend 2 times more on healthcare than any other developed country, we have all these issues. Infertility is going up massively per year. Metabolic dysfunction, I mean, we all know that. Now, this is where I come in and be a little reasonable. It's not all the food. It's not all the seed oils. People are lazy. People are sedentary. People sit around all day. People don't get out and be active. So could you kind of fight off a little bit of this if you were at least getting out, moving, working out? Yes. I come into it like you should just be working out to some degree. Not saying you have to be a gym rat. Not saying you have to be an Olympian athlete. Just work out, be active to some degree. And like I've made an episode about just working out. If you're not a very fit person, if you don't like working out, just walk. Walk daily. Okay? That you'd be surprised over time, this is a marathon, not a sprint, what a little bit of walking can do. That's gonna help with the mental health stuff that I've talked about. And it can also combat some of the, shitty foods and beverages we intake. Again, I'm not I'm not I'm not innocent on this, okay? I try to steer away from sugar for the most part, but artificial sweeteners, I mean, they're probably causing issues too. And I drank like diet ginger ales and stuff like that. So I'm consuming the stuff too. Aspartame, artificial sweeteners. I've been trying to limit the stuff, but sometimes you just want a little carbonation or a little flavor. But this is a major problem, the obesity, the pre-diabetes and diabetic rates. That's alarming as hell. And you have all these processed food companies. They actually fund nutrition research and education. That's how we got the food pyramid that we all learned about. Big Pharma is not trying to correct the issues either. They're all in cahoots together, making all this stuff that inevitably leads to chronic disease. Big Pharma then, once returning customers, they make stuff that just keeps your symptoms at bay, controls it, but doesn't get to the root cause and doesn't fix things. That's evil, if you ask me. That is evil. And people roll their eyes all the time, but a lot of these issues, as long as you're not too far gone, can be easily corrected by proper diet and exercise program. People roll their eyes. It is really as simple as that for a lot of cases. But I'll go into, this food pyramid we've been talking about. Okay. So, a little background with me. I didn't finish getting my degree, but I was going to school. I wanted to be a dietitian. This was in my mid to late 20s, after the military, and I wanted to be a dietitian. I was super gym rat, super nutrition, and so I was going to school to be a dietitian. And inevitably, sometimes I think I should have just stuck with it so I could have those credentials, because a lot of people don't want to listen to you unless you have those credentials, which I think are really worthless. It's just a piece of paper that says, "Oh, you spent a lot of money and went into debt." But I was going because I had GI Bill and I wasn't paying out of pocket other than, cost of books and stuff. But inevitably I stopped because they were going to start requiring a master's. It does require a master's now. And you had to do a year-long internship, like at the end of your degree. And, I'm a grown ass man. I got bills to pay. I got people and pets to support. I can't be doing a year-long internship unpaid. So you're working full time in the internship and you're paying, not getting paid. Like, I can't do that unless mommy and daddy are gonna pay my ride and support me. So I was just like, no, not gonna finish this. But also, what really annoyed me, um, the nutrition classes in college. And this was probably back 2016, 2017. Hopefully they've changed since then, but probably not. This stuff takes a while to get into the education system. Like I said, education systems funded by a lot of these processed food companies. That's how we got the food pyramid. It still had the fucking food pyramid that is god awful when I was going to college to be a dietitian. And I would push back against some of my nutrition professors. And yeah, as I said, I should have, part of me wanted to just keep my head down, answer everything how I knew they wanted, just so I could get the credentials and then I could speak out against the stuff. But it was so freaking annoying They just paint sodium as the evil, and sodium is so crucial. Like, especially if you're a somewhat active person, you need sodium. It's very important. And this is just one of the examples that I brought up besides the food pyramid being garbage. But I brought up to the professor there was like an assignment where you could ask questions. So I worded it like, "Hey, this is painting sodium out to be bad and everyone has to watch their sodium. Why is that when in reality, if you're a healthy individual, and particularly if you're an active healthy individual, your body's natural process needs sodium, A, very crucial, and any extra you will excrete. So why are we painting this as we need to watch our sodium intake?" And inevitably, the professor gave me an answer that basically said, like, "Technically, you're right, but da 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 da." And it seems like because of the system we have in place, that's how we view everything. View everybody as chronically ill, heart disease, diabetic, you name it. And so the fix is treat everyone like sodium bad. That's just an example of a personal example that I have. Like they're painting sodium bad. You might have these problems where you might need to watch your sodium intake, you know? You might need to, but not everybody, and especially if you're a healthy individual. No, sodium's good. Sodium's good. So, we talked about, these corrupt food companies fund a lot of the research. Well, guess what? The Diabetes Association, they get money from the soda companies. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. That is so evil and so corrupt. They're getting money from the soda companies. So not only are all these things that we consume making us fat, diabetic, a lot of it's also, as I mentioned earlier a little bit, they're endocrine disruptors. People are less fertile. People aren't having kids, like some of them just choosing to, but people are having fertility issues. And plastics and pesticides, that's and everything. We really can't get away from the microplastics. It's crazy. It's like 0.5 or something percent of like our brains is apparently like plastic from microplastic intake. It's in everything. It's in the air. It's in the air we breathe. It's crazy. Endocrine disruptors, you know, my theory on this, all the microplastics, all the shitty food we're consuming, everything messing with our hormones. That's why I do think there's a rise in transgender people. Stuff like atrazine, chemicals like atrazine. Alex Jones became famous. "I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the freaking frogs gay." That was like of course he makes a meme out of it and people make fun of it, but that was true. Like atrazine found in water and it was making like turning male frogs female, basically. Okay, if it's doing this in other creatures, don't you think it could have some type of effect on us? It would explain there's a lot of fucking soy boy feminine simps these days that need to get their testosterone levels checked. Rise in transgenderism, I think that plays a big role. A lot of it is, especially when you're talking Hollywood, peer pressure. They want to look cool. They want to fit in. My kid is trans. But I think some of it plays a part in our hormone and chemical imbalance. from what we're consuming and our lack of movement and physical activity. So, people, you don't have to be health freak, but start to make better food choices. Start to, cut out those sugary sodas. Limit your alcohol. I drink alcohol, not a saint. Something I found out recently, doctors can actually prescribe a gym membership to patients. They can. I never heard this till recently because they don't want to prescribe that. They want to prescribe. They're bought by Big Pharma. They want to prescribe drugs. Returning customer. They give you a gym membership. You start getting active. You start getting fit. You might not have these problems. You might not need the drugs. Crazy. Would love to have a gym membership prescribed for me. So this also brings me back to when I said I was going to school to be a dietitian. I did like a volunteer day at one of the local hospitals. Quickly learned I would not be interested in the clinical setting dietitian. Volunteering that day, it seemed like I was like the glorified cafeteria attendant. But then I get told, as the dietitian, okay, dietitian, you're the expert in nutrition and diet. You go through plenty school. Now it needs a master's. Strictly focused on diet, nutrition. As the dietitian, you are not legally allowed to prescribe meal plans, diets to patients. Only the doctor can do that. And when you see how much nutrition education doctors get in med school, that makes 0 sense. Doctors get little to none on the nutrition education. They go to school a lot. Not a lot, if any, is spent on nutrition. I'm the expert on nutrition as the dietitian. Yet I cannot prescribe the patient a diet or meal plan. That was alarming right there. And that was before I did any type of deep diving into how corrupt the system was. That was a red flag. I was like, this doesn't make sense. I'm the expert on nutrition and diet. Why wouldn't I be the one prescribing them? So I just saw that as a headache getting into it with the doctors. Because I can't tell you how many doctors I've heard, they got a cancer patient and they're fucking, yeah, you can eat ice cream. Yeah. In case you don't know this, cancer cells feed on sugar. If I have a client, a loved one, family member, friend who has cancer, I'm immediately throwing them on a ketogenic diet. I'm not saying like that diet's just going to cure it, but it's definitely going to help. And it's not going to hurt it. Cancer cells feed on sugar. And you're a doctor with a cancer patient knowingly telling them, eat the fucking sugar. Oh, that's because you want to give them expensive chemo. That's terrible for them. But it's a moneymaker for you. And who cares if they die? Terrible and corrupt. And that's why I got out of it. That's why I got out of it. It's so corrupt. And it just doesn't make sense. So that's what I'm hoping the MAHA movement, Make America Healthy Again. I'm hoping it catches on. I'm hoping it makes a lot of good changes because there is so much corruption And people are unhealthy here. And I wanna see people healthy. I really do, because you'll feel so much better. It's like night and day difference. I've gone through healthy spurts, and at the end of the day, I'm like, "Man, I remember what I looked like and how I felt back when I was being super healthy, working out, eating good." Man, get on a ketogenic diet or something like that, carnivore, ketogenic diet. Try it for a couple weeks, a month. See how much better you feel. You gotta get through at least 2 weeks, because if you're used to consuming a lot of carbs, you might feel, like, groggy and shitty for a week. Get to that 2-week mark, I bet you'll feel clarity and good. And I'm not saying that's a one size fits all for everyone, and you should stay on it year round. But it's amazing once you cut out a lot of this garbage we eat, how much better you feel. So, MAHA, I know Trump's off-putting to a lot of people, but I don't understand how people can be against somebody wanting to make America healthy again. Oh, yeah, this other point. Just check my notes here, because I like to shit on feminism on this channel. That plays a role too. Feminism always plays a role in something bad. Feminism has bastardized cooking for the family. That was part of it. You're liberated, women. You're liberated. If you're not in the kitchen slaving away, have this shitty, quick processed foods for you and your family. You don't need to be slaving away in the kitchen for hours making healthy meals. Feminism. I didn't even think of that till recently. It was pointed out. I was like, wow, okay, yeah. Feminism always has some type of, it's always involved in something bad. But I think we'll end this one here. Make sure you remember to like, subscribe, follow on all channels. I'm rocking the dark MAGA hat. I need to get a MAHA hat. Make America healthy again. Like, subscribe, Trad West Podcast on all channels. I know I've been slacking on this long form content. I was making some quicker videos. I want to start making, smaller videos, YouTube, Rumble, just so I get a few out a week, getting the algorithm. I had a couple comments though. We want more long form, like the content. So, hey, bear with me. It's not a job for me right now. It's a hobby on the side, doing it when I get time. I had stuff breaking around the house. Had to make some repairs. Maybe I'll do some videos on that type of stuff too. Because I've been slowly trying to, learn to be handy and not have to rely on other people to come fix shit. So, like, subscribe, share. Until next time, Trad West Podcast out.